So, good morning and welcome to this week's Breakfast with Mike. And this week, we're going to talk about lead generation, but we're going to be specific about how we do it. There's a lot of companies out there that'll sell you whatever leads you want to buy. There's no doubt about that. If you turn around and you describe the type of leads you want to buy, there's a company out there that will sell it to you. And they'll just come up with ways to do it. And that's all well and good if you want to go buy leads. But truth of the matter is that I really don't think that that's the way to go. I didn't build my business on buying leads. I built my business on referral networking. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Because, most of the time when I come up with these topics, it's because something happened with the student where they lost a deal or something. They had to do a lot of extra work to keep it together or something along that lines. And it normally sparks something for me to say, you know what, we should do a session on that. We've got some people here that have been around for a long time. And they know that the one thing that's consistent about real estate is that there's nothing consistent about real estate. It's always changing. It's the whole thing about real estate. It's constant change. It's constant adjustments. Many people know I'm a big fan of baseball, and I always use analogies for baseball when I can. And it's actually one of the perfect analogies for change. Because when a professional hitter goes up to the plate and a pitcher gets him out, whether it's with a curveball or a slider or whatever, if that hitter doesn't make adjustments the next time they come to the plate, that pitcher's going to get him out again. And everything about baseball is a game of adjustments. Pitchers adjust as they go through the lineup, hitters adjust, and whoever adjusts quicker is usually the ones that are going to be more successful. And it's the same thing in real estate. There are constant changes that are going on. And I don't have to tell you that. You deal with that on a daily basis. But what brought this topic up was a number of students that talked to me in the last week or so about deals that fell apart. And they fell apart because of, in the cases that we're talking about, home inspections. I have one that also fell apart because of a mortgage company. And anytime something like that happens, my first question to the student is, did they use any of the vendors that you recommended? And almost always the answer is no, they didn't. And of course, I'll ask some additional questions about that. And what I'm finding is that we're not using vendor lists the way I used to. I know I'm old school. I get that. But there are a couple other people that are on this call. They're also old school. And they understand the value of a vendor network. If I said to you, tell me where your next 3 leads are going to come from, in most cases, people are sitting back waiting for leads to come to them. I've got one student who built a really successful business on referrals. But when that referral network slows down, and it always does, there are always times it's doing really well, and there's always times that it's not. And then what's the backup plan? And when I say backup plan to most agents, I get the strangest looks, like I'm talking from another planet or something, because they don't have a backup plan. And in some cases, they don't have a plan, period. They just go into work every day and hope something's going to happen. And when it doesn't, they blame the market. Oh, the market slowed down. And usually when one of my students will say, hey, the market seems to have slowed down, I will share with them some of the numbers coming from some other students and say, that doesn't sound slow to me. So in the interest of the fact that it's not a slow market, I do believe it's going to change, but it's not a slow market right now. It really isn't. It's moving pretty good. Okay. You don't, a lot of you have never experienced a slow market yet because this isn't close to what a real slow market is. Slow market, you start working people 6, 8 months, easy. Now you get a listing, if it's on the market for 2 months, we know something's wrong. Heck, if it's on the market more than 30 days, we know something's wrong. Well, that's not normal. We're not in that kind of a market. So knowing that, where are your next leads going to come from? What's your backup plan? And I'll tell you what mine was. Mine was my vendors, my mortgage people, my home inspectors, my attorneys. If I said to you right now, if a friend of yours, a really good friend of yours, said to you, hey, I need a good electrician, who would you recommend? Do you have a name to give them? Do you have two? You know, I'm a believer in two. That's typically what I will do. I will give two names. I had two of pretty much everything you can think of, whether it was electricians, plumbers, attorneys, mortgage, um, septic, well, you name it, roofers. I had two. And anytime somebody asked me, that's what they would get from me. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people mess up, okay? If they just hear from you about those two, a lot of times they'll keep looking. It's not that they don't trust you, it's that they, well, don't trust you implicitly. So they'll look around a little bit more. If you're looking to generate 3 leads, get one lead, at least one lead every day. Every day. You need to start working your network, your vendor network. And when I say that to some of you, I know that some of you just flat out panic because we're hearing from so many of the so-called experts, oh, don't give out names like that. They'll come back and sue you. And you know what? They're right. There are a lot of people that will do that. But not the people that are in your own core, that are in your own sphere. Those people won't. And you should be able to depend on these vendors to deliver the kind of service you deliver, and they won't. So if somebody says to me, I was wondering if you know who I should use for an attorney. And they do that right after they've put a deal together. You're too late. You've missed the window. So I'm going to back up a little bit and let's talk about the first time you meet with them. That's when you should be talking about vendors. Listen, when the house goes under agreement, we're going to need this. We're going to need that. Don't worry. I've got that covered for you. But then you tell them a story. I'm a big fan of storytelling. I don't know where I learned that from. I just did. And funny thing is, I talk to other top producers. They all do the same thing. So I must be on the right page. Tell them a story about one of your clients who needed a vendor and it worked out. I recently had somebody on this call who had an issue with a car. And she had taken it to, I guess, at least one mechanic, maybe more, and couldn't get the problem resolved. Couldn't even get it identified. And I turned around and I said, well, listen, I'm not even sure if this guy's in business anymore because the last few years we've had much more newer cars, so we didn't have to go do that all the time. But I had this guy who actually lived fairly close to her. And I said, "What? Let me reach out and see if he'll still take that kind of business." Answer was yes. And she didn't call him right away. She was still hoping that the place that had the car was going to fix it. They didn't. Took it to the guy that I recommended. He fixed it. She's all excited. Even now, I still do that. The question is, why don't you? Why don't you have two people that you could recommend to anyone? You get a buyer that buys a house through you. Forget about the closing. Everything goes well. They call you 6 months after the closing. Hey, we're having a problem with the plumbing. We're having a problem with the furnace. We're having a problem with, do you know who we might want to call? Do you have a name for me? I ask that of students all the time. I'm amazed at how many people say, well, like they don't have it. Why? I think they're so afraid of getting sued that they won't give out a name. It's amazing to me. Yeah, I know. We've had all kinds of crazy things, even going back to the person that sued McDonald's because a coffee fell in their lap and the McDonald's hadn't warned them that it was hot coffee, or Dunkin' Donuts, I don't remember even who it was. Hadn't warned them. You think, yeah, it's not an iced coffee, it's hot coffee. You'd think there'd be common sense here. But there isn't always common sense. And so we get scared. We're afraid to turn around and let people know who we would use. Well, I'm not scared. I know who I would refer, and I will give you those names anytime you ask. And I'm not worried about getting sued. I'm worried about the service of my clients. And that's part of the service. So if you're not doing this, I would highly recommend that you find a way to put together a list. Now, I would suggest to you that you don't necessarily create this list from just your experience. A better way of doing this, I don't know, it's kind of like the best way. I mean, a good way would just give them a list, take it right out of the Google. Here's a list, because that's what they do, right? They go Google it, and but here's the problem with the Google list, and I know this for a fact. A lot of people pay money to get higher up on the Google list. It does not mean that they give good service. So that might be a good way, but a better way would be people you personally have used. To me, though, the best way is getting those referral names from my past clients. Because when I tell a story, I don't tell them about, I got this. I tell them, Bill and Jane were in the same boat you were. I got a call. This happened, that happened. They ended up, here's who they used. And they've been singing their praises ever since. Happened to be somebody I liked, so I thought it was a good idea. But when they told me their story, it was like, that's what they'll listen to. What others say that have actually used it. So if you're going to put together a vendor list, start with your own clients. Ask them. Say, hey, I'm trying to put together a list of a lot of vendors so that when somebody I know needs somebody, they can rely on them. And I'm thinking that the best people that know are you guys, because you're using these vendors all the time. Who would you recommend? Put together a list, send it to them. Plumber, electrician, septic, water, roofing, everything, whatever you could think of. A small contractor, somebody that'll come in and do windows or whatever. And then let them put a name and number down next to it and put your list together. Now, once that's together, that's what we're here to talk about today. You want to generate leads on a daily basis? That's where you go. I get people all the time that say, I'm using this company as a mortgage company, but they've never sent me a lead. Well, have you asked them? And in a lot of cases, I hear, well, no, I just kind of expected they would. I got news for you. You're not the only agent they're talking to. If you want to get business, ask for it. Ask for the business. If you're sending a lot of business to a plumber or an electrician or whatever, ask for business. Who do you know that's thinking about making a move? You could easily generate at least 3 leads a week from your vendors if you ask for it. Now, I've had students that have gotten into, different programs for where they share referrals and all that, and they would come back to me and go, "I'm not getting anything out of it." And I'm like, "Well, what are you putting into it? What are you giving them?" "Well, no, that's not why I'm there." Well, it needs to be why you're there. Business to business networks share leads. I've had this happen numerous times where a student that I will recommend something to a student and they come back with me, "Well, they're not doing anything, so why should I?" You're doing it for the wrong reason. Don't do it to get business back. You will, but don't do it for that reason. Do it because it's the right thing to do, and you will get a return. How do you get a return? Ask for it. You don't have to ask every time you talk to them. As a matter of fact, you probably shouldn't. But every once in a while, hey, who do you know? Is this making any sense? I got 2 people nodding, and the rest of them I'm seeing they're off camera look. They always give me that off camera look. Why? Because they're too busy. Doing what? Not this. Oh, I'm listening. Yeah, I know. If you want to generate leads, more leads than you have right now, you need to change something. Why? Because if you keep doing it the way you're doing it, you'll keep getting what you got. I mean, didn't somebody say that definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result? So why are you doing that? Why are you expecting a different result? You're not changing anything. If you use vendors, and you should get a return from that. Don't expect a return. Ask for it. I've had students that have come back and said to me, "You know what? I didn't think about it that way." And they said, "I asked so-and-so, you know what they said? They said, 'We thought you were so busy you didn't need it.'" That's silly, isn't it? You got to ask for it. And if you ask for it, guess what? You will find that you will get more referral business. And the leads will be better than what you've been getting. I should start a crusade. Whoop. I should start a crusade. And the crusade should be about stop. Whoa, I can't put, there we go. The crusade should be stop buying leads. That should be my crusade. Stop buying leads. I'm fortunate I have some people that do buy leads, and as a result, I'm able to help track that. And the result, the return on that investment is still good. but it's like 1 to 3%, which means you have to spend a lot of money to make money. Well, some people can afford to do that. Some can't. If you're one of those who can't, well, why aren't you generating leads without spending money? This is an easy way to say, you all use vendors. Every single deal you do, you have vendors. Well, yeah, but my client's not using them. Whose fault is that? By the way, if we wait, I think I might have mentioned this, if we wait until we put a deal together and then try to give them a list, it's too late. You've already missed the opportunity. When you first sit down with them and you're going over everything, that's the time to let them know. As we go through this process, we're going to need this, we're going to need that, we're going to need this. Don't worry, I got it covered. I have a list of people that have been given to me by my own clients, people that have used them, that still use them every single day. I wouldn't give you this list if it didn't work, if it didn't have people there that could back it up. You could call anybody on this list, but you could also say, who referred me, and I could give you the name. Karen and I
does work.
Yeah, I know. Karen and I have been really fortunate. We will tend to go asking people when we want to go out to dinner or something. We'll ask people that we know, where would you recommend? And boy, we've gotten some great referrals. And we've been to some places that if you walked by them, you would never go in. And then once we get in there, find out, wow. And if you asked me, some of you have, if you asked me, I would always give you that name. I'm not worried about whether or not I get sued. God, are we a panicked society these days? I'm not sure why, but we are. So you want to generate 3 more leads a week? Start talking to your vendors. You don't have a vendor list? Start today. Talk to your past clients. Ask them who they're using. Do not depend on Google reviews. Got nothing against Google reviews. I just know that people can pay money to get moved up on that list. And money, how much they pay to get moved up, does not equate to service all the time. Sometimes, but not all the time. You want to get the right people? Talk to your own past clients. Ask them who they used. Ask them what the return was. Talk to them about that. Put your list together. And then once you put your list together, make sure they know that you're giving their name out and ask for a return. If you do that, you will increase the amount of leads and you won't spend a lot of money getting them. Hope this helps. I'm going to turn off the recording and let these guys throw some questions at me. I bet you they got some good stories about vendors. Kind of too bad you weren't here. Maybe next time. We'll talk to you later.